Caroline, what's the campaign's messaging when it comes to early voting or voting by mail or even registering new voters?
Absolutely. President Trump said it best himself, as he often does. We have to make this election too big to rig. It is very clear this could be a tight election. We know the Democrats do not always play fair, especially when they know they have a candidate as unlikable and unpopular, as incompetent as Kamala Harris. So as President Trump said, we have to make this election too big to rig. I would encourage all of your viewers, I know there are many great American patriots watching, many in the state of Pennsylvania, to visit swampthevoteusa.com. That is our campaign's program to make sure no matter how you vote, whether it's early in person, whether it's mail-in voting, whether it's showing up the day of, that you have a plan, that you are registered to vote, that you have what you need to make sure your ballot is secure and your voice is heard. Right. If you visit that website, swampthevoteusa.com, you can hear directly from President Trump to make sure that your ballot is cast and your voice is heard. And our team, the RNC, led by the terrific Laura Trump, is bigger and better than it's ever been, making sure that we do everything to make sure this is a free and fair election, because as President Trump has said, if we don't have free and fair elections, we don't have a country.
Let's talk a little bit about the debate. Politico reporting Harris is allegedly upset, even still, over the debate rules. And here's this. A national Democratic strategist saying, quote, she could get thrown off by the muted mic. So putting their frustration about the mics out there, they're preparing for that possibility. So essentially bringing it to light. Why do you believe these rules, which were set in place when Biden was the presumptive nominee moving forward, and obviously the incumbent, but why is there still issues over muted mics for this debate, do you think?
There's no issue on our end. All of that's coming from Kamala Harris and her camp. And by the way, this is a woman where if she can't handle the rules of a debate, how is she going to sit down and handle negotiating with people like Xi Jinping and Vladimir Putin? Kamala Harris has a record that she is running from. As I said, she has been the incumbent for the last 3.5 years. Her day one was 3.5 years ago. She has a bad record. It's one that she's running from. She cast the tie-breaking vote that has caused a once-in-a-generation inflation crisis. The hands and the blood of 13 U.S. service members who died during that disastrous withdrawal of Afghanistan are on her shoulders, because she was the last person in the room when Joe Biden and Kamala Harris were withdrawing our country from Afghanistan. That same decision invited the chaos and war that we see on the world stage now, where Vladimir Putin did, in fact, invade Ukraine. And now we have the world being closer to the brink of World War III than it's ever been. And of course, Kamala Harris's failures at the border, where you could quite literally go down and visit the border today, which Kamala Harris has yet to do. And you can see the border wall that President Trump constructed during his 4 years in office, and you can quite literally see the pieces of empty border wall that Kamala Harris has allowed to just lay there, as she has allowed violent, criminal, illegal immigrants to come in, kill and rape our women and children. That is Kamala Harris's record, and it's one that she's running from.
And now we're hearing that she wants to enforce strict border policies, which is something that obviously could be in place right now. It is the Biden-Harris administration. But I wanted to ask you, Caroline, because it's obvious some of these differences in policies over the years. She has flip-flopped on a number of issues. Senator Bernie Sanders was asked about it this weekend. Here's how he defended her progressive record.
I don't think she's abandoning her ideals. I think she's trying to be pragmatic and doing what she thinks is right in order to win the election.
Well, let me just ask you then, big picture, do you still consider Vice President Kamala Harris to be progressive, Senator?
I do. Look, she is not where I am.
So, Caroline, what should voters take away from that description?
Well, it's not so much that Kamala Harris has flip-flopped on her positions. It's that Kamala Harris is a fraud. She's like every other career politician who's never held a private sector job in their lives. She just tells you what you think, what she thinks you want to hear. She's not a flip-flopper. She is a fraud. Kamala Harris has said she wants to ban fracking. You can absolutely make good on the fact that that is exactly what she would do to someplace like the great state of Pennsylvania. You look at her record on the border. Kamala Harris has allowed upwards of 20 million illegal immigrants into this country under Joe Biden being his vice president, but she would allow 40 million more into this country. She's a radical liberal. I always say you can take the woman out of San Francisco. You can't take San Francisco out of the woman. She said it in her own words in that very short-lived 16-minute interview she did on CNN. She said her values haven't changed. Well, to be very clear, Kamala Harris's values read like a wish list for MS-13 gang members, criminals, and Greta Thunberg. That is exactly who she is, and that is who she is going to be on that debate stage. And President Trump is not going to let her hide from her personality, from her persona, or her record.